Greetings captains, Gunship here. Hope you are doing well. So I'm on the dev server today and I just want to quickly go through the new ships that is coming in the patch here up to Christmas. So first off we got the Russians, which have a new battleship. It's actually a British battleship that they had on loan apparently for a small period of time, but it's ended up in the USSR tech tree because, you know, why not? They didn't have many battleships and the British had plenty, so the loan sort of thing probably worked out. So without further ado, let's have a look at the preview and see what it looks like. So we're here in X-ray, but I'll take that off for a second. So very traditional setup with 2 turrets at the front and 2 turrets at the back, and a reasonable amount of AA. So this is a diff server, so some of the information may or may not be 100% correct. It says it has a crew of about 920, and we're looking at 15-inch guns as the main, and we do have a number of secondaries which are 6-inch guns, and then we seem to have a quite nice spread of different guns for AA. 18 turrets of 20 millimeters should do very nicely together with the additional 12 turrets of also 20 millimeter. I think from an AA point of view, this ship is very good, and also you know, clearly a broadside of 8 15-inch guns are not to be sniffed upon. If we have a quick look at the armor layout of the ship, 330 millimeters around the sides, that should do very nicely, and it also seemed to have quite a bit of armor for potentially bow tanking here as well. See, the main armament of the turret is 330 millimeter as well, so yeah, not too shabby. And just in the X-ray view, traditional layout with magazines down the bottom, and you can see all the guns of various calibers, and of course the main guns as well. So all well and good. So I suggest we do a quick test sail, and it's stock here, so it will just be SAP ammunition. Hopefully you will get better ammunition for the ship as you research it. And we can sort of immediately see here that we have a good amount of AA taking care of business, took care of the 2 torpedo boats quite rapidly, and yeah, looks like a reasonable amount of AA towards that bomber up there. So not too bad at all. Turrets don't rotate particularly quick, gotta say. Let's see. Let's leave the destroyer and focus on the light cruiser here. Just waiting for the main turrets to turn around. Probably shoot a little bit with the secondaries, so you can see in the graphics in the bottom left. Alright, better go to the main guns, otherwise they might not turn in time. Right, we've got some of the main guns online here, so let's fire a bit of a broadside. As you saw there, about 38 seconds to reload. Hopefully that will be better as you get the ship spaded, or expert crew and all that kind of good stuff. And you'll see the speed is saying 40 kilometers an hour, probably more like 44 when we get it spaded as well. But yeah, don't want to spend too much time on it, but I think it's going to be a nice battleship. 7.0. I think because of the protection it's had, it's going to be able to hold its own compared to other ships at 7.0. It's not going to be massively better or massively worse, but I think that it's going to be quite a nice ship. It'll be interesting to see what people think of it when we finally get it in the game. Right, so let's return to the hangar. let's go back. So it will sit in the tech tree underneath the first line. So under the Naval will be the Archangelsk, if that's the name. And yes, a 7.0. So got plenty of 7.0 options now if you are playing Russia. And probably the main feature of this patch we will find, there's one other thing I quickly want to show. Coastal fleet. There is a Russian motor torpedo gunboat, this PR253L. There's also a new to the game that I spotted. I don't think that's going to be of great interest to many, but it's there, just so you know it is. Right, moving on to Great Britain. And we'll go to, of course, to blue water, that's where we want to be. And here's the Rodney. And probably worth noticing that it's not after the hood. So people that has been trying to get to the hood and found that the good people at Gaiden kept putting more battleships in between whatever you were at the London and trying to get down to the hood. Be happy to know the Rodney won't be under the hood, so it's after the Colossus. So yeah, if you're struggling over on this tech tree, you might just go straight for the Rodney instead, which I think will probably be a good choice. So again, a 7.0 battleship. And if we go to the preview of this ship, so here we got it in X-ray mode. Actually, one thing you can see in the X-ray is like, if this is the waterline where I have my arrow or cursor, you can see how far down the magazines are. They're right down the bottom. The same goes for the fuel tanks. So how that's gonna be in the game is gonna be quite interesting. If you look at the armor here, now I can only see 40mm belt along the side, and I don't think that is at all true. Also, it says here it has a crew of 15. I looked up on the wiki, and it should be more like 1300 crew. So I think there's a few more things to this ship here that hasn't been quite finished yet. So let's take that with a pinch of salt. If we look at the ship otherwise, clearly the main feature is the A, B, and the X turret is called, are up front, so there's no main guns at the rear. So what will be interesting, we will do that in test battle, is to see how much of an angle we need to have on the ship in order to bring the X turret into operation. And clearly we also got a bit of a float plane there for good measure. I'm sure they'll be damaged quite quickly in that position where it is. And then at the back we got some secondary guns along the side, a little bit of AA at the top. If you do the X-ray view again, you can see here we got some 6 inches at the back, and then the main guns here, which 406mm, but they're 16-inch guns, and yeah, quite effective. And this ship here did a lot of damage to the Bismarck and was instrumental in the sinking of the Bismarck as well. Apparently is the only ship that actually have done battleship to battleship torpedo shot at the Bismarck from a distance of about 3 kilometers. But in the battle with Bismarck, they fired these guns 378 times, I think it was, that I read. So, and actually the ship itself, the Rodney, took quite a lot of damage just from firing its main guns, because yeah, it started to shake some of the ship around a little bit. So it needed repairs afterwards. Right, without further ado, let's have a quick test sail. So here we are. I've been wanting to have the Nilsson or the Rodney for a long time, just because I think they look cool. Now, this one here has nowhere near the same amount of AA as the Russian battleship we just saw, but it has some. It's not completely without defenses, but not to the same level. Well, shut down the plane nonetheless. But interesting, here we have the guns at the front, and yeah, I'm gonna turn to the right here towards the battleship here, and to try and get an idea about how close, how sharp I can be on my angle towards the battleship in order to shoot all guns. So you can see that the last gun, the third turret, is not there, so I have to turn a little bit to the left, and now it's in. So that's your angle. It's probably not too dissimilar for other battleships, to be honest, but it's up all the guns in the front here. I'll just adjust a little bit. Let's fire port side, so roughly 9 shells going out. And we'll take a V moment to get there. And they did a bit of damage. I am firing, HE shells here, so not really what you want to fire a battleship these days. But HE shells has a lot of HE filler in them, in fairness. We'll check that out in just a second. I don't know if it's quite the 88 as you'll find in some of the other British battleships, but I think it's at least 60 kilos of TNT, which is not to be sniffed upon. And as you can see, the speed here, 44 kilometers, is pretty good for being stock. Probably getting up, not quite at 50, but 48 or something like that when you get the modules. So yeah, this is the ship that I'm looking forward to the most in the patch, out of a doubt. Always wanted a Nelson, and the Rodney is just the sister ships, and yeah, happy days. That's gonna at least be interesting. Is it is it a Scharnhorst killer? I doubt it, but you never know. Here's to hope, right? I think that they need to do something to knock the Scharnhorst off the top spot. But yeah, time will tell. I think it looks cool. I like the whole main structure building, and in the middle there, it looks more modern than some of the other ships. It looks quite menacing, really. So yeah, the British Star Destroyer is here, and we will see how it performs when we get it. Let's go back to the hangar, and I'll show you what else we have as well. So clearly, as you can see here, this is all almost text and bits and pieces that may or may not be there in the final version. But for AA, 340 millimeters and 220 millimeters, not a whole lot, but there's also 120 there, and the secondaries are the 152s. Last thing I wanted to see was the shell type. So if I go on the modifications, so filler of high explosive, 67 kilos, so that is not bad at all for the HE. And for the AP ammunition, we are looking about 23 kilos of explosive match, which is good for AP. And at 1,000 meters, 684 millimeter of damage if it says smack bang center on. But you know, fingers crossed. But the reality of the game will, I'm sure, bite us when we get it. So that's it for Great Britain. For Japan, I don't think they actually got anything. No. Italy, we have a battleship here, Francesco, and 6.7. So I don't really know why they stick those in the game. You know, everybody will go with the Conti, and this one is sort of a filler ship, which is fine, but why bother? Well, maybe they want to bother. But anyway, let's have a quick preview of the ship. So 1100 crew, and we have traditional sort of setup of 2 guns in front and 2 guns at the rear, 8 gun total. A bit of sort of AA guns on top of the main guns, they've done that. And you've got secondaries, as you can see, along the side here. If we look in X-ray, very traditional, but a lot of ammunition quite high up. I think this one might get the odd ammo rack coming its way. And if you look at armor, 300mm along the side. I mean, that's good, in fairness. That is not bad at all. And some in the front. I don't know if you take external off, you can see more, a little bit. Yeah, I don't quite know how it's gonna hold up. I've got a bit of good cement armor for those 2 locations there, but that's where the bridge is and the radio station, and the one at the back is the fire director. Okay, let's have a quick test sail of this one. I'll have a look at what it looks like. Bit of AA. Let's see if we can get the main guns on target. I mean, that's not gonna be great, is it? Got some AA, but yeah, could do with a lot more, to be fair. Maybe that's part and parcel why we're looking at 6-7, but I also think it's the main guns. Lacking. We're not talking 16-inch guns here, are we? Let's be fair. Just waiting for these turrets to get around. So you start off with sap. Just waiting for the aft turrets to do their thing, move around. Hopefully I can fire a complete broadside of this light cruise, so that'll be good. There we go. Okay, full broadside coming up. Fairly quick, 52 kilometers an hour. That is not bad at all. Be 55, 80, 58 perhaps, with an expert crew. So at least it got that going for it. We shall see what happened to it. I mean, it's going to be constant up tier, so it's going to be a tough time for Italy. It's nothing new, unfortunately. Let's go back to the hangar and then see if the last ship, I think there is one or two more I want to show you. So that was the Italians. We then go to France. So France has Dunkirk came in the current patch, but we have a new cruiser here, 5.7. So let's have a preview of that. So light guns, 8 rounds per minute. So there's a first stage and a second stage. So it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. I'll give that a test in just a second. Yeah, fairly traditional layout. Let's look at the armor on this one here. Not sure external armor. 105mm. That's probably what you expect for light cruisers. It's not bad for a 5.7 in fairness. Speed should be reasonable, and crew at about 550. In terms of extra turrets, it's okay, and it has a couple of torpedoes as well. So, and they're directional, so you got the torpedo tubes just here. I'll do that on the side. Okay, so let's do a quick test sail. Okay. It's an interesting little seaplane we have there. See how that goes. I really feel this is a bit more nimble than the battleships I've just been playing with. Pretty much currently firing every 10 seconds, and that will go down with a bit of crew. A couple of secondaries as well. I think at 5.7 this will probably do quite well. It's also a quite nice looking ship, to be fair. So let's return to hangar, and I think that is all we get for naval. Don't think there is anything else currently. I mean, they could put more stuff in, but not that we have seen in naval department. The big thing is, of course, the British ship. It's got to be. That's going to be quite something. And I think the Russian battleship is also maybe a slight surprise if you get a battleship in there, because people are sort of saying, well, what, how many battleships did Russia actually have? But if they had that British battleship on loan, then okay, fair enough. They can have that, and that will certainly add to all the people that research the Russian tech tree. But the Rodney is absolutely my favorite. So where does that leave us in terms of naval? There's no new maps being talked about. There's no new functionality being talked about. And of recently, it's been really hard to get games. Just being two people queuing in at 7.0, sometimes you can sit in the queue for half an hour, which suggests to me that naval is in a bit of a bad spot at the moment, and we really need to, well, we don't need to do anything about it because we're the players, but Guardian ought to do something about it. You know, when is the 7.3 ships going to come out? When are we going to see anything that actually moves us forward? There's been some talk about, somebody found a post about that we might see submarines in the new year. Well, that could be interesting, but is that going to entice people to play more naval? Let me know in the comments if you think submarines are a good idea or a bad idea. I don't know. I think there's probably a lot of tech has to go in order to put submarines in the game. And when do we finally see some of the ships we want to see? Okay, the Rodney, I'll give them that. Look forward to that one. But what about the Bismarck that the Rodney actually was fighting? Where's that ship? And when do we get to, you know, the iconic ships like the Iowa and the Yamato and stuff like that? How long do we have to wait for those? And what are you going to do in order to engage naval? Are you going to do more combined battles? What about naval EC? Seem to have made the mode and just kind of left it. It's not being developed. It's not got some exciting news coming to it. I thought naval EC would have been a place where you could say, actually, maybe we could combine people that love to fly with people that love to sail, and really get people from both sides to join into some massive battles together. But that hasn't really happened. You have to sail first in order to spawn a plane, for example. But maybe if you could just spawn a plane directly straight from the start, and people could, do some of combination between support from planes together with ships at the same time, might be a way forward. I don't know. It's up for guidance. It's their game. They want to make money on the game, and I understand why they're servicing mostly the people that are, with the new Eurofighters and some of the other stuff that is coming in. But they're at the end of that. You can't go much further than the Eurofighter and the latest tanks they have and stuff like that. Challenger 3, for example, we've got a prototype of, but it's not even a complete version of the Challenger 3 yet. So a lot of this technical specs are completely classified. So it's just guesswork what we are getting in the game. We could do a lot more with Naval, and I wish they did, because I think that if they did, then more people would be interested and they would play it. And should the odd guiding employee actually come this far in this video, then just one thing: take away this need for squads to meet squads inside a naval battle. If two people can't queue in and it takes them 20 plus or 30 minutes to queue in as a two squad, then that's wrong. Then remove that restrictions altogether, because you're just stopping people from playing. And if everyone has to queue singly, then there's no point being in a squadron, and then there's even less point in playing, because if you can't play together in a multiplayer game, what's the point? All right, I'll get off my soapbox. I look forward to the Rodney. That's a nice Christmas present. That could be a fantastic ship to play. The Russian also has some mileage to go on, remain to be seen. Sorry, Italy and France, you get a token light cruiser. And Japan, you can go and do one. So there we go. That's all for now. Have a good one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.